So we'll get started. Jeff, I think you're starting off.
Yeah, I changed things a little bit. I thought that since it's early in the morning, we should start with coffee crunch.
Well, good. I'm going to go get some coffee and watch you make the crunch.
And it's got booze.
Oh, well,
yes.
There you go.
There are two versions of this. One is coffee crunch, and one is coffee crunch with the liqueur, the liqueur in it. The Kahlua liqueur, Honolulu, whatever. It's early.
Good girls.
So we'll just review the bladders once more. These are, this is what we order what comes when we order our ice cream mix or our ice cream blend. It's milk solids, a little sugar, a little vanilla, and small print, which I don't like to read. They come in 10-quart bladders. There's 2 to a box. A box is called a case. So when you order that, you'll order a case, which will be 2 of these. I've broken down my formulas so that this is a 24-quart machine, which is what I use at the store. And so the formula for today will be a 24-quart machine ingredient list. And that will be a full bladder, 10 quarts. You can write it, you don't want to write it down. So this is it. And as most of you know, I like to keep a bucket under here so that we don't have spillage or we have seeping uppage. The bladders, handling them is important. And it only requires one thing, and that's focus. As soon as you lose your focus, you lose your grip, you spill it on the floor. If this ever plops on the floor, it'll burst. And if it bursts, there's 4 hours to clean it up. It's that bad. So just be careful. Wouldn't it be something if I drop one now after? So I like to grab it by the neck and only then take the top off. Obviously, if we lay it down now, is this on?
I don't do mic checks.
So we'll put this in the machine. The machine has been sanitized by Christy this morning. And we'll dump the whole thing in there. And this should make us about 6.5 gallons of coffee crunch, adult coffee crunch ice cream. And even though you may think it looks kind of unwieldy to use these things, you get used to it real fast. You'll either do one of 2 things. You'll either drop it, or putting it in, you'll leave this open, and it'll just go on the floor. And you'll only do those things once. Okay, vanilla. As you know, I like to use 1 ounce per quart of mix. So that would be 10 ounces of vanilla. Today, we're going to measure. Which we
need
normally
to bookmark
don't do.
this as a point in history. I'm excited.
We're going to measure.
Yeah.
And of course, you know the secret to measuring. You can measure and then try to pour it by looking down here, or you can simply look at where 10 ounces is, turn it around, and then it's convenient to do it. You can deposit a quarter in the box when you leave for that tip. So the vanilla. Not to sell these machines, because they certainly don't need my endorsement, but these things are solid and big. You can throw anything in there. Okay, the next thing is the coffee in the Coffee Crunch. So I like to use Folgers crystals. They dissolve really easily, and they taste great. My morning coffee every day happens to be Folgers. This is 8 ounces, and we need 7 ounces. Yesterday in the class, somebody said, is that weight or volume? And I don't know. There's a difference? Which you think is more? The head didn't go up and down so fast now, did it? I don't know which. Should we see? We can all learn from this. 7 ounces weight or 7 ounces volume. I think weight would be more. Right? Let's check it. Let's just all learn something today. 7 ounces. 7 ounces, right there. Oh, weight is definitely more. Yeah, weight is definitely more. This whole jar was, remember we used yesterday when we made this? We used weight, right? Woo, was that too strong? It was good though.
That was good.
So let's do it again. Okay. So forget the lesson. We're going to use weight, all right? And this is 7 ounces, so we'll pour most of it in there. Now, the machine is your best mixer ever. The blades rotate at 200 plus revolutions per minute, and right now the cream is in there, so anything we add, if we turn the machine on first, it'll start mixing right away. These crystals, I guess these are for instant coffee, so you would add water. Nobody drinks instant coffee anymore. Isn't that something? Why do they even make this? Ooh, what a crowd, you know. All right, we'll turn it on. We'll make ice cream. We'll go to homemade. We'll start it rolling. And then we're going to add everything but 1 ounce. That's about right. 7 ounces. By weight or volume, your call. Then we're going to add the secret ingredient. The secret ingredient, I have 2 secret ingredients in a lot of recipes. And nobody's listening at home, right?
Nobody.
Okay.
It's just us here.
Just for us.
Yeah.
Okay, the secret ingredient is Ghirardelli chocolate powder. This is the sweet ground dark chocolate powder, and they also make sweet ground white chocolate powder. We used both in class, didn't we? All right, so we'll add this, and we're going to add about a quart. And what that does, well, you'll taste it, you'll see. And the name of the flavor that we're making is Heath Bar chocolate. What is it? Coffee Crunch.
Adult.
So what?
Adult coffee
Yes.
crunch.
So we need the crunch. The crunch will be good old Heath Bar pieces. These are great. I use them in a lot of ice creams. They impart flavor and texture. So we'll add this much. The formula calls for a quart. But remember, this is your ice cream. You'll make the determination. Maybe you want half a quart, maybe you want 1.5 quarts. Same thing with the coffee. Maybe you want a little stronger. That's what's going to separate your store from your store. Just don't forget that the end all is not us. It's the customer. Famous story. Let's get going, right? Too many stories. So we'll add the Heath Bar Crunch.
One cheap plug on my machines, don't try this with any other machine because it won't work. They all have an opening that's only about that wide so you can pour extracts in. Our machines, it's that wide, so nuts, cookies, candies,
anything. You can put gravel in there.
Everything go right in the machine, which means for every particle of dairy, there's going to be a particle of flavor right next to it. It's going to be a much more intense flavor than just adding things as it comes out.
And we'll add a smidge of Kahlua or coffee liqueur. Just a smidge. This is a 750, so we'll add a smidge.
And don't try that on any other machine. You have to, because it won't freeze. We have so much freezing power that you can put the alcohol right in the machine. Otherwise, you'd have to stir it in as it's coming out because it would keep the product from freezing.
Because we're mixing the liquor with the large amount of cream, you don't really have to buy the name brand, which is, in this, the name brand is $33. This was $9. And I've used this a lot of times, Komura. It's very good. So that takes care of that. Little coffee left. Now, what's left to do?
Turn on the refrigeration.
Before we do, what do I always do?
Bless the machine.
I always taste it. Thanks, Christy. Just in case, look at the mess here. Just in case I feel it needs more or less of something. We can always do less of something. You know how to do that? Think about it. Let's see. Ooh, nice color. Now we'll turn it on. This is the refrigeration. When I turn it on, out of habit, two things are going to happen, and I like to watch and look for them. One is the compressor will go on. You'll hear that now. That's the compressor. In your machine, that's what will happen. When that happens, something else happens concurrently. A water-cooled machine, so the water is being fed into it, and conversely, it'll come out of it. So mine is in the sink also in the store, and there it is. There's your water coming out. And it's warm water. It's just like the system in your car, in your radiator. You put the water in the radiator. When you start the car, it cycles through the whole engine, cooling it down. In the car's case, it is a continuous cycle. Here, it's expelled. So that's the recipe. We have 10 quarts of mix, 10 ounces vanilla, 7 ounces of Folgers, 1 quart of chocolate powder, 1 quart of Heath Bar, and a bottle of 750 of Kahlua. And it's going to be really good. So any questions so far? I said, any questions so far? Yes, sir.
The Heath Bar, the pieces that you put in, will they be the same size, or do the blades?
Great question.
Get
He
repeat,
asked,
get repeat.
I'm going to do that. I know how this system works. He asked, the question was, will the Heath Bar maintain the integrity of the pieces throughout the process? And that's a great question. You're going to get two results by using the Heath Bar Crunch like this. One is you'll get the flavor, which is a toffee type flavor. You'll get that flavor because some of them will dissolve, but you'll also maintain the crunch. Heath Bar is a crazy thing. If you did this with Oreos, they're just gone. You'll get the flavor, but you won't get the crunch. You can do it with M&Ms. You can do it with frozen Snickers. You can do it with a lot of things. Surprisingly, I've used Kit Kat, and Kit Kat pretty much dissolves. So Heath Bar is a great thing. And the bag that I used, this is how it's universally sold in these bags. These are 8 pounds, I think. And this is what you can buy. And they're already chopped up perfectly. And this is Restaurant Depot or I think just Restaurant Depot, unless you go online and get it. I don't think Sam's Club sells these. But this is great, and you'll use them in a lot of stuff. Now, your missus had a question.
So, I watched a lot of your videos, and I know that you guys use the bladder bag mix already. Do you have a recipe or a ratio if we wanted to make our own mix?
I do.
Can I give my opinion first?
Yeah.
Making your own mix is a waste of time because of probably one main thing, and that's pasteurization. You need a pasteurizer if you're going to make your own mix. Pasteurizer is, my goal, I want to get you in business. I want to get you in business within 30 days or 45 or 60 days, and I want to get you in business least expensively. A pasteurizer isn't on my list. And these are so easy. Where do you live? Florida. Well, there's two great places in Florida to get the mix, and they deliver, and it's perfect. One is in Boynton Beach. It's called Ice Cream Club, and one is in Sarasota called Dairy Mix. The Sarasota one now delivers further up the coast. I think they're into the Carolinas now. But every state, if you want to find out where to get it, just go on Google and put ice cream mix, comma, and your zip code. And you'll come up with a list of dairies. Steve actually has a list, a paper printed.
Yeah, you can email me, steve@emerythompson.com or christy@emerythompson.com, and we have a list of dairies. It's not every dairy in the country, but we can send that out to you. There's
Steve,
probably going to be one in your city.
It's in their packet.
It's in their packet.
Oh, it's in their packet.
But also, those of you watching this video, you can email us for that information. Jeff's right about you need a pasteurizer. The federal law is really weird, and we're stuck with it. You're buying pasteurized milk at the supermarket. You're buying pasteurized cream at the supermarket. You're adding sugar. The federal government says you take all these pasteurized products and blend it in a bucket and pour it in the machine. We want it repasteurized before you do it. The other thing is that people overlook is before you buy a pasteurizer, make sure you can find a source for 50 gallons of heavy cream. Heavy cream is sold in half-pint containers at a very high price because that's the most profitable way for the dairy to sell a valuable and limited quantity. When you need 50 gallons to make a full day's worth of ice cream, that's going to be very hard to come by, and it's going to be very pricey. The dairies are experts. They have scientists on board who do nothing more than every day test the milk coming in from the cows, see that it's blended properly so that we have the key to any business, which is consistency. We need the same ice cream. Jeff just tested the product, but actually, in actuality, he's got a formula, and he knows exactly what's going in there because he wants the ice cream he made last March to be exactly as it is today.
Tell your story about the Burger King, or the McDonald's burger. That's a good one.
Well, McDonald's, I'm sorry, but I think it's a lousy hamburger. But it's the same lousy hamburger in Moscow as it is in, Turkey, as it is in New Orleans. When you go through the Golden Arches, you know you're going to get a lousy burger, but it's going to be consistency. So that's what business runs on, is consistency. When you have, Jeff has a correspondence course, and it's got 3x5 file cards. And if you're hiring someone else how to make ice cream, you tell them, you follow this recipe exactly. If you decide, oh, the boss is a jerk and I'm going to put in another ounce of vanilla, we're going to break your kneecaps, drag you out into the street, and shoot you, because we can't afford to have inconsistency in the product. So it's very important that once you decide on your formula, you stick to it and you don't change it until you decide it needs to be changed.
Trivia question. I run trivia at the store once a week. What city has the most McDonald's in the world? What city in the world has the most McDonald's?
I'm going to guess Moscow.
Orlando.
Oh, of course.
Orlando,
it's
because of the Disney parks.
I was going to say Houston.
That's another quarter in the bucket when you leave. It's 50 cents. How do you know when the ice cream is ready? We're waiting here for the ice cream to be ready. Ready is subjective, isn't it? His ready is different than my ready is different than Christie's ready. And your ready will be different than all the other readies. That's why there's no timer on the machine for the entire process. There is a timer on here for the compressor, the freezing process. But in my opinion, don't even look at it. It's irrelevant, just my opinion. Because Monday we made a variegate, which is the swirls in the ice cream. When you do that, the ice cream has to be in there longer because you need it firmer, so that when you mix we made peanut butter and jelly ice cream, when you mix the jelly in, it doesn't seep into the population of the other part of the ice cream. But normally I pull it sooner than Steve does. I don't know why.
Nothing wrong with either one.
No, and she pulls it different. Hey, let's not go there. So it's almost ready. This is what it looks like when it's almost ready. Can you all see this? See that? Now, as a rule of thumb, you can know when it's ready when you do that and it holds a peak in the bottom. When it holds a peak, you're there or real close. When it, you still have some time. This has been going for 9 hours and 9 hours. That's some ice cream. This has been going for 9.5 minutes. And that's pretty much in the ballpark. Now, why will this take a little longer than other ice creams? Alcohol. And what's in the alcohol that'll cause that? Sugar, of course. And that's your rule of thumb. Anything, the more sugar you have in your formula, the longer it's going to take. Because sugar freezes, he'll tell you all that.
Well, and also it's his first batch too. So your very first batch of the day, starting up any machine, whatever model you do have, it's going to take a little bit longer than the rest of your batches. So if he was going to turn around and make another batch right after this of the same thing, 2-3 more batches, he's going to shave off maybe a minute and a half of the next batches after that because the cylinder's already super cold. Sorry.
Yes, sir.
Air-cooled or water-cooled, about the same amount of time?
Yeah, same thing.
Yes, the air-cooled compressor is also made by Copeland, the world's largest manufacturer here in Ohio. And they're the best compressors we can buy. They're a rotary engine. Instead of a piston going like this, it's spinning around like that. And the efficiency and BTU output on the water-cooled versus the air-cooled is exactly the same. But that sugar is really the differential. Basically, vanilla is going to take you 8 minutes. Everything else is going to be a little bit longer because you're putting sugar in. We put sugar in with the cocoa powder. We put sugar in with the Heath candy bars, so that's going to up that.
Some of the flavors, like rum raisin, where you're using real, 150 proof rum or whatever, that'll take 22 minutes, 23 minutes.
I can't take it anymore.
You got to try it?
I already did. It's really good.
Alcohol doesn't freeze. I think I believe it's around minus 234 that alcohol freezes Fahrenheit. But it will stay in suspension in the ice cream. So you are going to have a softer looking ice cream and a longer freeze time with anything that you put alcohol in. Christy and I found out the hard way by putting too much alcohol in the ice cream. You end up with a product that you don't even taste what it is. You just take a bite of it and you go like that because we overdid it with the alcohol. So alcohol is a flavor. It's not a mixed drink. So keep that in mind when you're working with it, that you can go overboard.
We also made that same reaction to his mint Italian ice.
Well, exactly what Christian. See, they always have to bring up my failures. I made a.
There's so many of them.
I made a mint Italian ice, and Christy tasted it like she just did, and she goes, "Well, I guess won't need mouthwash for the next 2 months."
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. We're going to pull it. So I do the same thing in reverse. When I shut it, I want to hear the compressor shut off. The water will stop in the sink. Tuesday, Thursday. There we go. Okay? Now I feel comfortable doing it. When you pull it, when you extract it now, the cylinder where the ice cream is made is canted 5 degrees. So this thing will shoot out of there, filling your buckets like that. I'm going to do it a little slower so you can watch what happens. Ooh. Ah.
Now you get to eat all this, and by the end of the day, when we say, "Hey, do you want to make one more flavor?" It's going to be, no more, please, can't take any more. That's a good-looking product there.
Yeah, the ice cream too.
Help.
Where's my baseball bat?
You open the window, I let the air in. Boy, I hope your staff likes this. There's going to be enough of it.
I'm already going to take some home.
These guys are rookies. They're talking about taking home ice cream. What you do with something like this is you put it up into containers, you freeze it, and then when you got to go see a specialist, you bring ice cream. You know, I had an eye specialist in New York. They told me, bring War and Peace. You're going to be here 3.5 hours. Not me. I walked in with my ice cream and some spoons, and I said, this is for the doctor. And they said, great, I will take it. No, that's okay. I'm going to hold on to it. Oh, and look, it's melting. Yeah, I got right in. He was a nice guy, but the third time I brought ice cream, I waited for 2.5 hours. And I said, we were on first name basis by then. I said, Jeff, what's up? And he says, oh, the lady before you brought brownies, so I wasn't hungry. But keep it in mind, it's a great bribe. Politicians, anybody you need to bribe, ice cream works well.
Yeah, my neighbors just learned what I do, and that I have one in my kitchen. So let's just say I've
I'll
already
show
made
you
2
a
ice
great
cream
way
ones.
to save some more money. When you do this in your store, these are going to go in the freezer, and you have to label them so you know what's in there. The government requires that you put the date on the label. So initially, some people who come to the class start looking up label makers and those tags and everything, when in fact, all you need is masking tape and a marker. And just put it on here, write it down, put it in the freezer. That's all. That'll save some money.
Yeah, you don't have to go out and get freezer-safe tape because it's going to stick nicely. I'm going to start putting these in the freezer.
Okay, you're going to try putting them in the freezer?
You have to take 2.
2?
There's
Oh,
Michaela.
right.
These spoons are from Frozen Dessert
taste
Supplies.
this?
They supplied us with the spoons for all of your flavors for the seminars. Their information is also in your Emery Thompson packet. They should have a flyer in there. They're a great company. They have just about everything you can think of that you do need in the industry.
I think it turned out well.
It's a duck.
Thank you so much.
That's it. I hope
Good? Is this
Delicious, Jeff.
It's good.
Now, I always like to ask the question that Jeff doesn't want to hear. Is there anything that you would change in this formula?
I'd make more.
Your prejudice, it's yours. Anybody? Any differences? Any changes?
Throw some yeast bar on the top.
Okay, that's a good idea. It would also look nice in the serving cabinet if you're using a visual case. Otherwise, they won't see it. But not a bad idea.
Well, maybe instead of on top, like as it's extruding out, so it's all in it, so you have a few more of those crunchy, thicker crunchy bits.
Yeah, you can do that. You can do it. You can add ingredients 2 ways. You can either open the gate halfway and let it come out a little slower, or you can tap the infinite overrun control down, and so that it slows down when it's coming out. So you can actually fill pint containers right here and on the other machines. Let me just show you how simple that would be. I go to make ice cream. We're running super premium. Sure that's close. So here I am at my super premium speed 165, and I want to fill pints. So I'm just going to tap it down to 130, Now it's spinning slower and it'll come out a little easier. You still have to be fast. You want to open it, close it, put it up here. Open it, close it, put it up here. And then when you're finished, then come back to it and put the caps on them. And one little old timer's trick is, I don't have a pint container here, but oh, here we go. We'll use this. Once you fill this container, you know how when you go to the grocery store, it's always perfectly filled. Well, it's done by machine. Before there were machines, what we did is we took those pints with the lid on it and turned it upside down. Now the ice cream is falling to the bottom, or it's falling to the top. So that and we freeze it like that, so that when they open the container, it's perfectly filled up top with no air gaps. Just that simple. Turn it upside down.